What's up, everybody? It's Conger Live. We're back again with another TMNT Mutant Madness video. In today's video, we're going over the power mutation of next week's PvP heroes. We're also going to mention the raid that's coming up next week. You're kicking that subscribe button for more content. Go ahead and punch that like, and let's get into it. Okay, here we are in the official Discord. First up, Raid in Channel 6 and Trial of Courage events are underway. That's what we're going through right now. Raid in Channel 6 is the April Hero Bit event. And next week in the events calendar says that the Brawl, which is, I believe, like the Rooftop Brawl, which is the like the anniversary events. Not sure if they're going to have daily rewards or if it's just going to be a one-time reward, kind of like what's happening with the Trial of Courage. So we'll have to see how that goes next week. But let's go ahead and take a look at the heroes that are on mutation for this week. First up is Ace Duck, the #1 most mutated hero in the game. He's actually on mutation right now for the Trial of Courage. Granitor, okay, not exciting. Trag, who's also on mutation for the Trial of Courage right now. Dirk Savage, ooh, okay, he's solid. And Zorax. Okay, so Zorax also on mutation right now for the Trial of Courage. So it looks like we're just adding Granitor and Dirk Savage. It's interesting how they've done this. Maybe there was an error in how they were going to do this. Not exactly sure, but we got a bunch of the military-looking dudes, basically, coming up. I'm not sure what they're going to call this, but let's go take a look at their kits. Okay, first up is Ace Duck. This guy is great on mutation. His bombing run does a lot of damage, keeps him moving around, makes him less likely to be targeted, and does extra damage per alertness, which is nice. And that alertness also helps him get more defense. His hard-boiled blitz targets up to 2 random enemies, deals energy damage over 2 hits, selects a tile within range, running more energy damage, and inflicts -40 alertness for 3 seconds. Really, really nice there. Bird's Eye Shot, when attacking, inflicts negative defense, deals extra damage if there's no enemies at range 1, which is generally the case after he flies with his bombing run. And he gains 3 alertness for 10 seconds if there are no enemies at range 1, which is, you know, another nice thing to help him get more damage output on his ult. And extra alertness for 2 seconds if he's under 0 alertness. So this way he kind of always balances out. Really, really nice. Mallard Maverick passive gains 30 haste and 15 will while not stunned, rooted, or slowed. As long as he keeps moving around the battlefield, that can be the case most of the time. He gains 30% resistance to stun and 60% resistance to disarm while defense is above 0. And at the start of combat, he gains defense. So he starts off with that resistance. As long as he can maintain that with support characters helping him out, very, very versatile, keeping him moving around the board and getting his specials off quite often. And his Wing Squall gains defense, targets a tile at range 2 and all enemies within it, range 1 of it, and inflicts negative defense and -120 haste and slow for 2 seconds. This happens every 9 seconds. If you want to take him all the way to 250, he strips extra defense and inflicts haste and slow for 2 extra seconds to enemies under 30 minutes. It's not a necessary skill. The extra defense stripping is probably the best part of it. Yeah, I left mine. I meant to leave him at 225. I got him at 226. His equipment skill, his aviator jacket, I have him equipped because of the Trial of Courage. He gains 45 armor and barrier while defense is above 0. And at the start of combat, he gains 45 focus for 8 seconds. So he's getting a little extra damage output in the beginning of the fight, and he has some extra survivability for quite some time as long as he keeps that defense. Really, really cool kit for Ace Duck. Next up was Granitor. Now, Granitor, I think, is way down here for me. There he is. Yeah, I haven't invested in him. With the testing that my clanmates had done when he's been on mutation before, and I've also used him on my alt account. Still not good at 4-star level 200. Taking up to 250, 225, 250 maybe, but there's just better tanks and better blasters out there. He does some energy damage, he strips some defense, and he inflicts stun to targets under 15 alertness, if not disarm. So it's too much conditional and too short of a stun for that to really be, wow, cool. Half a second, nothing. Crater Maker targets all enemies, deals some physical damage, inflicts -30 strength, 3 seconds, inflicts negative extra strength per armor. That's okay. He does have a decent amount of armor. With his stone skin, he gains armor, and he gains extra strength per armor for that damage output, but he's a blaster. He's got physical damage for his basic attack, but he is considered a blaster character because he's ranged. It's, interesting kit. And his loyalty to Krang, give 30 armor and barrier to other allies at or above 20 will, if not stunned or rooted. So this would definitely help if Krang was on his team, because Krang gets a bunch of will. A couple other characters have some will boosts, but it's got to be above 20, which is a decent amount to get. Like Ace starts with plus 15, so Ace wouldn't get it. Yeah, we need more will giving out. It gives 30% resistance to stun to other allies at or above 20 will after being knocked out. It gives defense to all other allies at or above 20 will. 20 will is just a huge conditional. This loyalty to Krang probably doesn't trigger very often, except for on Krang. And then the Stone Stance, gain 100 armor and receive negative 50 haste for 6 seconds. So don't like the nerfing himself with the haste. And gains resistance to stun, disarm, and silence for 6 seconds at 250. Because this is locked, it doesn't tell me how often this auto skill goes off. If you guys know, you can leave the comment down below. But yeah, he's just not a character I recommend using. If we look at his rocket launcher skill, he gains 45 focus. After using skill, gains 60 armor for 4 seconds. So gaining focus when his basic damage is physical damage. His kit is just not well thought out, in my opinion. Not worth using. He's a pass. But Trag, his compadre, Trag has a decent kit. He's a support tank. His boulder formation gives defense to everybody, armor to everybody, and more armor, more defense with the conditionals. Does the same for barrier. So really, really nice protection off of his ultimate. And then his fire support auto skill, he does some damage, energy damage over 3 hits to up to 3 enemies. Inflicts disarm, which is nice. Targets all enemy allies and gives some more defense out. So he's giving out a lot of defense. He's doing some status effects to the enemy. It's really, really nice. His chain of command is just okay. Gives 25 alertness to allies within range 2, if not stunned or silenced. This is definitely great for Ace Duck. And after being knocked out, he gives a bunch of defense and more alertness and will for 10 seconds to the closest ally at range 2. And it's this 25 will that he gets that's going to trigger Granitors, but Trag's got to die first, and yeah, just too many conditionals. Don't use Granitor. Trag is definitely someone to consider using. Good support tank. Gains 40 armor passively. If you take him to 225 after being attacked, he gains armor and barrier for 20 seconds. That's going to definitely help out with his survivability. Not necessary, but definitely going to be very, very helpful there if you take him up to 225. And his coordinated advance, target the closest other ally, give 40 focus and 20 strength for 6 seconds. Target all other allies, give 20 focus and 10 strength for 6 seconds. This happens every 9 seconds, so that's decent. The amount of boost he's giving to one of his allies and the rest of them. Hopefully your closest ally is one of your damage dealers like Zorax or Ace Duck. And if you want to take him up to 250, target the closest other ally, give 40% resistance to stun and disarm. Target all their allies, give them 20% resistance to stun and disarm. So this is actually a really nice support skill. Once again, it's not necessary, but that resistance to stun is very, very, very useful. But it's a huge investment for a character that you're only going to use on mutation once in a while. Now I am using him in the trial, so I already have equipment on him. At the start of combat, give defense and plus 30 armor for 6 seconds to all allies at range 1. So it's nice that you have a little bit of extra defense at the beginning using him. It says at range 1, so you want to place him in the middle if you want all your characters to get it. Otherwise, put him next to the characters you think might be taking hits early on. That's it for Trag. We're going to move on to Dirk Savage. Dirk Savage, I did finally unlock. I haven't leveled him up yet, but if I was playing in PvP this week, I would be wanting to use him. He targets an enemy at range 3, deals energy damage, inflicts root for 5 seconds, inflicts stun for 3 seconds if the target is stunned. Do the same for disarm, silence, or slow. So he really combos with the other status effects that the other teammates are going to be putting out. Definitely want to use him with other characters that stun. Inflict negative haste per haste the enemy has for 5 seconds. So basically just takes away any haste they have, which is really, really nice. His laser trap is really cool. His laser tethers Targets the enemy, deals energy damage, inflicts negative 50 strength and disarm and root for 4 seconds, and inflicts negative 100 strength and negative 150 focus for 4 seconds to targets without defense. So if you can get past that defense that a lot of characters are going to have early on, and depending on the support that you're playing against, stripping the strength and the focus is going to really help turn the tides. So if you can get that damage, that defense stripped, he's gonna help you guys win more, so to speak. Very, very cool. His Dead or Alive passive gains 25 armor, haste, and focus per enemy within range 3 that is stunned, disarmed, rooted, slowed, or silenced. So if you're able to get massive stuns, you know, Metalhead, Rasputin, of course, Attila, April, you know, these great stunning characters for long periods of time stuns, range stuns, this is going to trigger a bunch, and that's going to keep him going. And when attacking, he gains defense if the target is stunned, disarmed, rooted, slowed, or silenced. So very, very, very synergistic kit with any other stunners. When attacking, inflict negative defense and deal damage to enemies at range 2 and within range 1 of the target. So they have to be close enough to him and also next to the target. It does like some splash damage basically, and inflicts negative 3 barrier for 30 seconds to all targets. So this is really nice, helping to get more damage output from him and any of his other blaster heroes with the energy damage. And the double tap targets an enemy at range 3 and another enemy at range 1 of them. So not always 2, but if they're next to each other, yes. Then he deals energy damage to each target and 100 and extra damage per status among stunned, rooted, slowed, disarmed, and silenced affecting the target. So if you're able to get stunned, rooted, slowed, disarmed, and silenced all on the target at once, the amount of damage this double tap does is huge. Tons of potential there, stacking all those status effects. His equipment skill, the laser shotgun, gains 30 focus. All stunned, rooted, and slowed enemies get negative 30 armor and barrier. So just having him on the board is going to help make anybody who gets rooted, stunned, slowed, take extra damage. Really, really great kit. Definitely recommend using Dirk Savage this week in PvP. Finally, Zorax. Zorax is still a heavy hitter. He's not as big as he once was. That's why I never took him past 225, because I knew the nerf was coming. But his 250 skill is still good. We'll get a chance to see that. His Triceraton charge gains 30 armor and barrier per non-summon ally for 3 seconds. Goes to an enemy at range 3. Targets everyone in between. Deals some damage. Deals damage on the selected enemy, a bigger amount of damage, and then deals extra damage if at above 20 strength and focus. So he needs both 20 strength and 20 focus, and he does more. That's the kind of interesting thing about Zorax, but he does have ways of getting both of those to really make the most of that ultimate. His Heretic Cannon targets 2 enemies and deals energy damage to each of them and extra damage to each if his strength is above 40. And he is, once again, going to have ways of stacking that strength. He gains 30 armor if he's not stunned or disarmed, and gains 2 will per non-summon ally. After attacking, gains 5 focus for 30 seconds if will is at or above 0. He should be able to maintain will above 0, because if we're using, say, all 5 of the mutated characters, I would say 4 out of 5 are good. You know, instead of Granitor using Metalhead or Rock and Wrath or Attila, someone that helps utilize the rest of these kits would be really, really the way to go. His Tri-Weapon Tactics used in allies. After an ally uses the skill, gains 6 strength and 3 alertness for 10 seconds. So he's stacking focus with the military training, and he's stacking strength with his Tri-Weapon Tactics, really making this extra damage very, very, very possible. With his Wrist Blade Assault, which happens every 7 seconds, pretty often, targets up to 3 enemies in an arc at range 1, deals physical damage over 3 hits, and gains defense and extra defense per target hit. So he can hit 3 enemies that are next to him. He's going to be able to stay alive for quite some time. And if you get him to 250, he does extra damage per focus and extra defense per focus. So with that focus that he's stacking, he's going to be able to stay alive longer and do more damage. So it's definitely a valuable skill to have. His equipment, Wrist Blades, gains 12 haste and strength per enemy at range 1. Nothing wrong with that. That's going to help him do more damage, going to help him charge his special meter. Really, really cool. Zorax is definitely one worth using. Okay, that's all the Mutation Heroes for next week's PvP. Let me know what you think about them in the comments down below. Which ones will you be using? Who are you going to supplement your team with if you're not using all of them? I want to hear about that. That's all we got today. So thanks for watching. Ninja, kick that like button and subscribe for more content. And we'll see you in the next video.